Hi, this is Shui with a review of the Cosmic Unity. It's supposedly a signature for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis recently got injured. He had some sort of an Achilles injury, but that did not happen while he was wearing this. He actually switches back and forth between the Cosmic Unity, which was designed for him, and the Kobe 5. So he hurt himself while he was wearing the Kobe 5s. I'm not saying Kobe 5 is a bad shoe, but I'm also guaranteeing that he did not get hurt just because he was wearing Cosmic Unity or because he was switching back and forth. More often than not, injuries not always directly related with the shoe. You get injured because you got to blame yourself and the circumstances and your age as well, wear and tear. So this Cosmic Unity, it's the standout feature is that as you can tell by the midsole, there's a lot of little dots like cookies and cream ice cream there. This is an improvement from the Nike's Move to Zero recycling scheme they have there. If you look at some of the midsoles they've had in other previous models like the Daybreak, you see these like little prominent chocolate chips chipping out. So what they did was they wanted to grind it further into something more microscopic, and there you go. It's a little bit more homogeneous. It's a little bit more softer, I guess. Overall, the midsole feels good, and especially considering it's recycled material, it's pretty good. It works in tandem nicely with the Zoom Strobel, which you can see here. It's the Zoom Strobel that we've seen in shoes like the Zoom Universe and the KD13s and also the KD12s. It has the best of both worlds in some sense. The Zoom Strobel feels good if you just slide your foot in without the insole. You actually feel the Zoom Strobel working right below your foot, and it doesn't feel like there's inadequate level of foam cushioning to complement the Zoom Strobel. It's super low to the ground, yet you feel that plushiness. There is a certain level of escalation in terms of the thickness of the midsole on the heel. It's very thin, microscopic on the forefoot, so you do feel a good level of a heel to toe drop, which is always a welcome choice by Nike in my part, coming from me, because I've injured my Achilles by wearing shoes that kind of sunk a little bit too much in the heel and did not have a secure lift on the heel area. And so this Zoom Strobel for the Zoom Universe, what worked was it was super soft because the Zoom Strobel itself was super soft, and they used a very soft midsole material, and they had an insole which added to the plushiness, which was a pretty thick ortholite insole, which was just soft all over. So it might feel a little bit too mushy, a little bit too dangerous, might give shin splints to some people. But for the KD13, what they did was they came up with a way to provide a level of stability and resistance on the part that's facing the Zoom Strobel. The Zoom Strobel is this long and this huge. But if you use insoles, you got to use the insoles with this little part shaved out, the core that's been shaved out like this, because that's the only way it will hug and stay with the Zoom Strobel without moving on top of the Zoom Strobel. If you were to use just a flat insole, you're gonna have that Zoom Strobel which is kind of raised a little bit, and this insole might move with your foot, and then you might end up hurting your ankles. So another positive aspect of this starchy, plasticky insole is that once your foot is set, it's not going to warp. It's not going to get folded in half like a soft shell taco. So this is a hard shell taco. So this provides a level of stability that works nicely with the Zoom Strobel. Although this is a little bit firm, what works is that instead of letting the Zoom Air get compressed on certain pinpoint areas when you're shifting your weight back and forth, it actually evens things out. Even if there's a pinpoint area of pressure, this hard, firm, rigid insole would spread it evenly. That's good. And also on top, it's a dual layer. The starchy outer shell is also holding inside it a very soft ortholite insole. It's very soft. And it's also got a top layer which is sort of like a suede type of velvety type of material that actually hugs and provides a friction and grip, and it molds to the size, the shape of your toes and your ball of your foot and whatnot, which is good. So this seems like a best of both worlds in terms of the insole combination. the softness of the Zoom Universe and the firm and rigid stability of the KD13's insole. KD13 was a little bit too firm. It lacked a little bit of a softness on the top, but it did help to have an extra Zoom insole, a Zoom air sole right underneath the Zoom Strobel to provide that level of softness there. On the heel for the KD13, the problem was it was really hard. It's got a hard rubber outsole that provide a 90-degree angle double thud. Here for the Cosmic Unity, it's super soft and rounded, so it makes sure you get a smooth cradle ride when you're taking that hard first step or step back or landing or whatnot. So it's really nice. So it's an improvement from the KD13 in that sense, in terms of insole softness, and in terms of the over plushness and the lack of stability that you've had the Zoom Universe, because it was the super soft insole going on with the Zoom Strobel. It was just too overly mushy. What works is that it provides that level of stability that the KD13 has. So it's, in many words, it's the best of both worlds. In terms of the Zoom Strobel featured basketball shoes, it seems like a better alternative, a better evolved cousins of these two. Another thing with the Zoom Universe is that this is a beautiful shoe, and I love everything they're trying to do with it. But because they only have 6 strings, is it 5? 6 strings that just tighten this specific part of the shoe, you're not gonna get a firm lockdown near the toe box area. So it's not exactly the most secure lockdown. And also, even if you put the strap on, this stretchy part is going to be loose. So you need a certain level of lockdown there. So that's a little disappointing. It's a nice shoe, but for those who need some secure lockdown, not exactly the best option out there. The fit for the Cosmic Unity, I would suggest you go true to size. If you have narrow fit, you might want to go down half a size if you want a really tight fit. For me, going true to size was fine. This was a nice welcome change from the typical basketball shoes from Nike that I've experienced so far. The KD13s, I had to go up a whole size and a half because it was so crazy narrow. Most shoes come pretty narrow, and the toe box is either too roomy or a bit too flat. This, just nice. It's very reminiscent of the kind of fit you get from the good old basketball shoes that's retro all over again, the ones that you see from the 90s. So this is a nice change. I love what they did with this in terms of the fit. The upper material is a knitty, kurum type of a material all around. The art pattern in such a way to provide a certain level of rigidity and lockdown when you lace up your shoes. On top of the toe box, it's nice, and it's pretty thick. Not exactly the most breathable, but it also has some areas that provide a certain level of superior ventilation. So it's not too bad. I guess what happens when you recycle and reuse a lot of things, there's a little bit of an opening or a gap in between. So that kind of helps in the ventilation area. The tongue is an important aspect for basketball shoe for me in the future, because the LeBron 18 was perfect in many ways for me, except for the tongue was paper thin, and the lace loops and the laces were like killing my foot when I tightened it up. I had to actually put in an extra layer of a foam or something underneath the tongue to make sure it's bearable when I lace up and hoop in it. This is plush enough, just nice, not too crazy thick or stuffy. It's got little perforations as well. It is a low-cut shoe, but it provides a good, secure fit around the ankle area. The padding is pretty thick, and you actually feel that there's a little bit of a space here and a lot of padding that locks you down there, and it does not hinder you or scratches or provide abrasive unnecessary traction or scratchiness into your Achilles or any sensitive parts around your ankle. So that is good. It weighs about 411 grams for a size 9, which is not exactly the lightest shoe out there, but it's still under 500 grams, so it's not too bad. The weight actually comes not from the Zoom Air or the upper material or anything. It's actually these foam, I think, these extra bulky, bulging foams that really reminds you of the Reebok Question, which was an LI versus signature. I think this adds to the weight, but also it's not just there for form or fashion. It has functionality. It provides that additional security and lockdown, and that acts as a nice soft plush heel cup or heel counter. And at the same time, these little podular round things, they are kind of reminiscent of the Air Zoom Flight 95, I think it's what they're calling it these days, or they used to be just called the Air Zoom Flights. Those little pods provided that additional support when you were close to spraining your ankle. So it's kind of similar to that. The base is not crazy wide. It's not narrow either, but I do feel like if you were moving hard, it might kind of, tipsy toe kind of shift into this lateral part a little bit. But even if you do that, these little bulging midsoles actually provide certain level of crash pads or a safety belt type of a feature that it kind of supports you a little bit. So that is actually good. It would have been better if they even have an outrigger here as well, but even without the outrigger, these little foam pillars do a good job of providing a level of security, work as some kind of a foam airbags, I guess. The traction pattern, as you can tell, is pretty honest and simple, but the grooves, the blades are pretty long, and the grooves are pretty deep. It's in terms of forward and backward traction, it's excellent, but laterally, not the best, not the worst, not the best. Laterally, you might slip a little bit if the cord is not pristine, and also the medial part. I suppose this type of traction is not exactly the best type of choice for a little grippiness with minimal contact on the floor. It's not bad, but you do feel it sliding a little bit. It's not too bad. Better than a lot of the copy-pasted traction that we've seen in the Adidas as of late. Not bad. Could be better, but durability, I think, is something that you can expect from this shoe. Even if it's recycled material, it seems to be quite durable, so that's a win-win in some sense. The what do you call this? Anti-inversion plate, torsion plate, you might call it. It's right there in this transparent plastic. So it works as a window to the Zoom Strobel unit and the level of thickness of the foam you have. And it's right at the outsole, so it provides stability while not hindering your cushioning. So that's good on the part of Nike. Design-wise, I think this is a very unique and beautiful shoe. A price point could be better, but it's right up there, comparable to the release price, like the Zoom Universe and the KD13s. I hope they'll have a lot of discounts and have a lot more different colorways. This is a very pleasant surprise from Nike. It's hard for me to pick any particular fatal flaw of this shoe. Bit of an outrigger maybe would be better. Traction, a little bit of a complexity on certain pivot points or more areas that would require additional grippiness with a lesser amount of contact point with the floor would have been better. But again, it's a great shoe because they have the two things that I demand the most from a shoe: soft slide, roll, and transition from the heel, and overall Zoom Air that you can feel. And on the forefoot, you do feel it's low to the ground, but it's soft enough to provide you that level of comfort to reduce fatigue and prevent you from having any blisters or bruises on your foot. And there's a clear heel to toe drop in terms of the thickness of the midsole, and these little pods provide additional stability when you're moving side to side, and you might be in the danger of rolling your ankle. And the fit, again, good old 90s fit.